Yes, we are in live now. Very good morning to all the participants, and we are happy to welcome you all for day 3, session 1 about visual data analytics using hands-on demo using Tableau. And we are happy and honored to welcome our guest speaker today, Mr. Sandeep Didi, practice leader, big data and data science at Aspire Systems and senior consultant and facilitator for Manipal Jigsaw Academy. He has completed his BE Electrical and Electronics Engineering in BDT College of Engineering, and he has done his PG in Big Data Machine Learning at IIT Stewart School of Business, Illinois. And he is pursuing PG in Big Data and Machine Learning at Great Lakes Institute of Management. He has started his career and worked for more than 7 years as technology consultant and became team lead at Hewlett Packard, and he played the role of system manager and technical architect, Global Big Data Center of Excellence at Novo Nordisk, and he worked as architect Big Data Analytics at Zaloni, and now working as practice leader Big Data and Data Science as AspireNXT. And Mr. Sandeep has 14 plus years of experience in diverse areas spanning data engineering, data science, and machine learning across domains. And we are happy to welcome you, sir. I hand over the session to sir. Sir, can you unmute yourself? Uh,
Yeah, can you hear me now?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
All right, great. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for the quick introduction. So my name is Sandeep, as Madam introduced, and I will run through the entire session today of the big data and of course trying to see some bit of the Tableau and then give you a hands-on session or show you a quick demo on how we use Tableau in real time. And so having said that, let me run through some quick slides and give you an understanding of the whole methodology or the whole area of Tableau and why do we really need BI and so on and so forth. So let me just get to the first slide. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So I assume everyone is able to see the slide, and if not, then please raise your hand or put a chat there. So what we'll do today is kind of understand the whole. So there was a question. Sorry, somebody went out of mute. Okay.
Sir,
Right.
actually,
So
I cannot see your slide, sir.
oh, you can't. Okay, hold on a second.
First, I
1 second. Let me just do it right away. Can you see the slide now?
sure. No, sir. I think you have shared your screen. Can you pick up from that slides? How what we tried, no, sir? That slide section. We can stop the screen share and try uploading from that. 1 second, sir. I'll do it.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Can you see the screen now, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, madam. I
Is
can.
that
Yes.
the one that what we updated?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. This is
yes,
the
sir.
one. Okay. So give me just 1 second. I see some message here. All right. So what we'll kind of understand today or try to deep dive in the next 90 minutes is to what Tableau is and where do we actually get these BI stuffs in the entire landscape of big data and analytics. So that's what we will try to understand today. And of course, we will run through a short demo on the tool as well at the end of the presentation. And if there's any questions or if there's anything which is not clear, please feel free to raise your hand and ask questions. I will be happy to take them. Some expectations before we start. If the question which you ask is supposed to be covered in upcoming slides, then I would park it and then pick it up when the slide comes. If there's anything which I have not answered, possibly there could be a reason that I will try to answer it when the time comes when I'm showing the presentation. So that's one of the key things which I want to take care. All the questions will be answered. If there is any specific question which you think or I'm not able to answer, I'll make sure I'll get back to you on that, but most likely we'll try to answer all the questions. So having said that, let's deep dive into the presentation and understand what Tableau is, or what are the objectives, what we will do today. Right? First, we understand some key features of what BI is. Now, BI, we say it as a business intelligence. And then what are the key features there? And some hands-on or something about Tableau as a product. We have Tableau Public for this session, but of course, I will tell you how a license works and how the server works and so on and so forth. And then also some of the basic workflows which we will see on the Tableau Public itself as a part of the hands-on session at the end of the presentation. Right, so what is Tableau, right? Now, Tableau is a BI tool, or you can call it as a BI software that helps people see and understand their data, right? Now, this is the key feature for any business, right? Now, in the world of big data and analytics, we typically have three areas or three pillars of the organizations, right? The first one is getting the data into the big data world. So we call it as a data ingestion factory. And then we have something called as data engineering, where we engineer the data, we curate the data, we do feature engineering. And then the last layer is BI/analytics. Now, BI is business intelligence, and then you also do some advanced statistical analytics on top of it. Now, that's where Tableau used extensively, right? Now, what kind of reports do we do? How do we see the trend of the data? Do we have a time series analysis? Can we do any specific charts on Tableau, so on and so forth, right? So it's an interesting area to be in. Now, there are many players in this area, like there's Tableau, there's Power BI, there's TIBCO Spotfire, there's Amazon QuickSight, there is ClickSense, and there is KNI, ME9, there is Alteryx. There are many players in the market right now. Why Tableau takes the leading position, we will see that as we go through the slides. So what is BI, right? Now, BI is typically a practice. Now, most of the people say, okay, BI means making dashboards, right? Now, that's really not true. I mean, yes, of course, it is making the dashboard, but making the dashboard as per the requirement from the business and understanding the domain knowledge is extremely important in the BI area. Right? A BI practice by itself stands as a practice, right? So there are many things we do in BI. For example, BI refers to the technologies where we collect, integrate, and analyze and present for the business information to support better business decision making, right? I'll give you a classic example, right? Now, Tableau in most areas or most of the production projects, Tableau is used for centralized, you can call it as a centralized view of the customer. So typically you call them as a customer 360, right? So if a business wants to see the entire customer 360 of a customer, then the BI is the place where he or she will go and check. For instance, let's take the college example, right? So if you want to see how many on an average we get admitted, how many on an average how many people out of the application take computer science, how many of them tend to go to masters after BTech, and how many of them will tend to write GATE, what is the average? Are they scoring the same in all internals? Do you see some dip and high? Do you see some spike? So these are all business intelligence questions which will help you answer, right? Well, what is the maximum score in this semester? How do you make the percentile breakup of the students? So these are some business intelligence questions which your honor principal or your dean might come up with, and getting them answered to Tableau is just a click of button, right? Now you don't really need to spend hours on Excel to write the formulae, to do all those things. Now Tableau Public, which is open source and free of cost, you can right away do it and export it and put it on a presentation and share with your management or the respective universities, right? Now that's where the main concept or the main area of BI is how does it support making business decisions, right? Now, we'll cover that as we go, but remember BI is just not making dashboard, but you collect the data, you integrate the data, you do analysis, and then you present it to a business. And presenting to business is definitely an art, right? That's something which cannot be taught by anyone because that requires good amount of domain experience and then requires some amount of innovation as in what should I show on that graph, right? Do I show everything or do I only show what is needed by the required business people, right? For instance, if I say I want to look at the let's take a classic example of bank, right? So all of us have accounts, right? All of us transact amount from there. All of us submit or do some deposits into your account. So somebody might have current, somebody might have only savings and have combinations of both. Somebody might have joint accounts. There are many possibilities, right? Now let's say a bank wants to see a entire 360-degree of each customer, right? So for example, I am a customer, Sandeep. Let's say I have a bank in State Bank of India. Then over a period of time, I've been transacting with them from last 13 years. So the bank decides to, figure out all the people above 10 years. We want to see their transaction history and see how they are because we need to give them some offers. In the typical world of business, we call it as cross-selling and upselling, and we do a campaigning management on top of it. Right? That's where BI is extremely important. For example, they want to see how is Sandeep been transacting from last 10 years? How many deposits has he? Does he has any SIPs in our bank? Does he has any current account? Does he has anything registered under our bank? Does he do a transaction on a monthly basis? Does he has a rider accounts? Rider account as in a wife account, a daughter account, a son account, a parent's account. Does he do appropriate deposits? Does he has a lot of liquid cash in the account? So all this can be analyzed and accordingly a campaign management is prepared, right? So as you see, all of us realize, right, over a period of time, banks have started becoming more intelligent, right? Now, how does the app gets updated every now and then, right? App gets updated based on these analysis, right? Like recently released draw cash from ATM without your ATM card, right? Now, these are something requests from the customers, right? People upload their request that, okay, I forgot my card. Does that mean I cannot withdraw money? Okay, based on the reports and based on the business intelligence we made, we have seen a lot of people asking for this feature. So why don't we just go ahead and put that in the, in our application? So these are the business decisions people make just with the BI. So what I wanted to convey here, and most of the people, whomever I've taken session and also across the world, I meet a lot of customers. Everyone says BI is just making dashboard. So it's way beyond making a dashboard, right? So Tableau has its own tool called as Tableau Prep. I'll kind of explain what it is a little later, but preparing data is the most crucial factor of doing the BI, because if you cannot prepare the data, then rest assured that your dashboard definitely will not be the right one, right? So that's very important for us to prepare the data. Now, BI system by itself has several layers, right? Now, there are 5 areas in a BI, right? Now, these are the 5 general, and you can call them as most widely used areas under the BI, right? So you have data source layer, you have transform data layer, you have data storage, you have analytical, and then you have the presentation layer. Now, right, what I said in the previous slide is Tableau is just, or BI itself is just not making a dashboard. Now, these 5 layers are across any BI tool. It's not only for Tableau. Let's say you have a Power BI. So Power BI also has this. Let's say you have a ClickSense. ClickSense also has this. Let's say you have a TIBCO Spotfire. That also has this. Now, as I said in the previous slide, that BI is just not making dashboard. You need to collect your data first, transform your data the way you need it, which we will do. I'll show you how to transform the data. And then you store the data, right? That's most important. Where is the data? It's getting stored on your Tableau. And then you analyze the data. Now, analysis is not basically making dashboards, right? You can do a table analysis, which I will show you, right? You don't need to really do analysis. When I say analysis, it need not be a statistical analysis or it not be a dashboard analysis. You can do a very basic analysis just with the table. On an average, how many products am I selling? What are the products which is being sold in my organization? Where am I incurring losses? Which state of the or which country of the area am I incurring losses? So on and so forth. There are like tons and thousands of things which we do, right? So data source layer is typically what we call in the real world as ingestion factory. So as the name goes, your data is ingested there. Now the data can be from anywhere in the world. It could be a JSON file, it could be a text file, it could be a CSV file, it could be an Excel file, and it could be from any other databases like SQL Server. It could be from any warehouse systems, data warehouse systems. It could be from any Hadoop systems. It could be from any data lake, right? Now, Tableau supports varieties of data sources, right? But on the public side, you only have very limited features. But in the enterprise version of Tableau, it supports varieties of features. And then transform the data, right? Now, you don't have to do heavy lifting transformations here. Like, for example, what you do in data engineering, where you join the data, you curate the data, you create a views of the data. You don't need to do all that in Tableau because the data is already prepared for you. You just have to create a light-weighted ETL. When I say light-weighted ETL is light-weighted extract, transform, and load, right? Now, ETL really doesn't fit in this. It's a concept of ELT, which is extract, load, and then transform, right? So you're extracting data from a particular system, you're loading it to Tableau, and then you're transforming it. Now, I'm saying Tableau because we are learning Tableau, but otherwise this applies for any BI tool. So it's not specific for Tableau, it applies for any BI tool. Now, analytical layer is a layer where you analyze your data. Now, as I said, analysis need not be a statistical analysis. It could be anything. It could be previewing the data. It could be just looking how many numbers I have. What are the data points I have? What should I choose? What shouldn't I choose? And which data point should I choose? And which data point should I ignore? And so on and so forth. So these are typical analytical layer. And then on the presentation layer, you have visualizations. I mean, of course, now that's why I put that, right? Example data visualization tools such as Tableau. If you see that on the top, presentation layer example, I put as Tableau. But as I said, this applies to any BI projects, right? Not necessarily Tableau. So there are 5 most important layers which we have to, kind of look at. And as I said, Tableau is, or BI is just not making dashboard, but it's a combination of these 5 layers will make an interesting and a business-driven dashboard. I'll give it a pause for these slides. If there are any questions, I'll take it. Otherwise, I'll move ahead. Now, with my experience, typically people have a lot of questions on these slides. That's why I gave it a halt. So if there are any questions, I'll take it up right now. Otherwise, you can ask anytime when something pops up in your mind as well.
No questions so far, sir. I could
Great.
the chat.
Oh yeah, I can also see the chat now. Okay, great. So this is, I just wanted to put this up. This is a log file from a server, right? Now, there are a lot of requests from a lot of people that, we have to analyze the logs. Now, this has become the most important thing of late, right? Now, in fact, your college, you can use this as well, right? So in the labs, you can collect all the logs and all your logs are captured in a specific server, bring those logs back to Tableau and try analyzing the logs and see how is the lab being used by the students, right? So there's an interesting case study which we recently did is how many people are getting to website, how many people are just doing window shopping, how many people are actually buying something. All this is captured through the log only, right? So we do a sentiment analysis. For example, we build sentiments, we build recommendation. For example, if I buy a phone, then the high likely chance that I'll also buy a headphone along with that, right? Or maybe a Bluetooth headphone, or maybe earbuds, or something like that, right? So all that is derived through these logs, right? There's nobody who will come and tell you what you want, but all of that is derived through the logs, because Logs is like your way of seeing the data. It's like a characteristics of your shopping, right? And if you sit for a minute and think, that's how we are, right? So let's say I want to buy something, I go, I browse, I try to compare the prices across different areas, and then as we move ahead, you start seeing, you know, the answers, you start seeing this specific request, you start seeing the specific trend of the data. Now, of course, you just cannot pick up a log and start analyzing, right? Now, this is where I'll go back to previous slide. I'm collecting your data at this data source layer. Now the data has come. This is what the data is. The data has come here. Now what I will do is I will use some transformation. So next part is what? I'll transform the data. So I'll write some feature engineering principles, transform the data, and the data looks like this now on an Excel, right? And a very interesting way of transforming the data, right? So for example, with just this format of data, you can start seeing some of the features or some of the trends on the data, right? So for example, you see there, so you have most of the students. This is again, I brought this up because of the college use case, right? So what kind of a user have logged in? Is it a student or a staff? What time did he log in? What did he do when he logged in, right? Now, we don't capture any web logs because that is something known as PII, which is personal identifying information, which we avoid capturing. But we capture the analysis, or we capture what did the student do. For instance, if there was a lab and they're supposed to do an assignment, and then of course, so did they really do, or did they just browse around and then, you know, just did they terminate the lab appropriately? We have logs for everything, right? So we can do a fantastic analysis on the entire logs. And of course, the business insight or the insights driven from it, trust me, it's sometimes been very, very useful and very, very important. And we did it for one of the university recently, and then you know, they changed the whole way the lab was run, right, based on the analysis. So that analysis was done on around 4.5 years of data, right? So there was interesting patterns we saw, interesting features we saw. So the whole lab was revamped based on that. So imagine the whole business was changed just based on the analysis. That's a power BI has in the real world. I see one question which I will answer any which ways, sir. Trimurti M, sir. Is Tableau open source with full features? No, sir, it's not. Tableau Public is only open source. You can try Tableau with full features for 14 days, after which you have to purchase the licenses. But Tableau Public can be used as many days as you want. So that's okay. There's no other question, I think. All right. Let's get back to the slides. Now, why Tableau? Now, there could be a question, why not Power BI? Why not anything else? Now, if you see, this is one of the leading you know, quadrant which Gartner publishes every year, right? Now, most of the companies take decisions by seeing this quadrant, right? So let's say a company has to start a digital transformations. So they kind of come up with a set of tools, and then they go to Gartner and ask them for the analysis of those tools, and they give you a chart of this. Now, this chart is built across the feedback from the globe. It's not only specific person or one person doing the project, right? Sorry. So this Gartner quadrant is made with a lot of analysis and a lot of feedback from different organizations. Now you see 4 things, right? Challengers, leaders, niche players, and visionaries, right? Now, if you see Tableau and Microsoft comes and Click, you see, I said about the Click, right? Click Sense and Click View. So if you see, those 3 tools are in the leader corner, and any one of you can see it. You can just go to Google and go to Gartner 2020 and you get a magic quadrant. This is part of the magic quadrant. So any one of us can just go to Google and type Gartner magic quadrant. We will get the magic quadrant. And the magic quadrant will tell you what are the leaders and what are the visionaries, right? So if you see down in the visionaries, there's TIPCO Spotfire, which I just spoke about a little while ago. and TIBCO Spotfire is a product by itself, right? You don't see Alteryx and Nime anywhere in the picture, right? That means they are still there. They are coming. They're slowly coming. As more people use them, you'll start seeing them in the niche player. Then slowly they become, visionaries. Then they become a leaders. So that's how the whole process is, right? So Tableau was long time back. Tableau was a challenger. Then it became a niche player. Then it became a visionary, and today it's a leader, right? So that's why Tableau right now, it's very user friendly. You can do a lot with Tableau, and of course we'll see that when we see the tool per se. But then a lot of options available out of the box. You really don't need to do something or reinvent something by yourself. So that's the power of Tableau, right? Now we saw one why because it's a Magic Quadrant leader, but then only being Magic Quadrant leader, does that make it the best? Of course, Gartner tells Magic Quadrant leader means it is really a leader, but we need some data points to prove it is a leader, right? You just cannot say it's a leader. So what are these data points? It's a self-service BI user and can create their own reports and dashboard without putting additional strain on the BI development team. A business can now create dashboards. Okay, can you imagine that? Right now, typically you see that in the projects we work, the CXOs, the CEO, the CIO, the CTO, or the CFO, they always come to the team and ask, hey, can you tell me what was the budget for last quarter and how much did they spend? What are we with the liquidity? What is the pool budget remaining? How do we invest that back into R&D? Where is the budget coming from? Did we see any accruals from the different budgets? Now, these are the CFO questions, right? Now, the CTO will come and ask, what is the technology landscape? Now, all this through logs. How long did the server, run? What was the issues on the server? Did we see any downtime? This is the CTO questions. And then the CEO end of the day will want to know everything. Right now, you don't have to depend on the team. You don't have to. Okay, I just got a message that. Okay, cool. I think it's fine. So you don't have to depend on the BI team right now. As Tableau is a self-service driven tool, you can make your own reports provided you have the right data points, right? You don't have to wait for somebody to prepare for you for a week. You can just make it right out there. Quick development, drag and drop. You don't have to write any specific code. It's just drag and drop, right? If you know the logic on what do you want where, then you just have to drag and drop the features across, right? And as I said, the drag and drop is always very helpful because for non-technical users, it becomes extremely useful when you're using the Tableau, right? Because, and you'll see that when we look at the tool, right? It's so easy and so super user friendly to use, and you can quickly start building effective dashboards in no time. And the most important part here is data visualization. Tableau allows for a highly interactive and effective analytical experience for users and provides professional layout templates and features for meaningful reporting and dashboarding, right? As I don't need to vet this point out, but as it goes, it's one of the most useful tool, and especially the way tools are, the way support is, the way communities are, it just works out to be an extremely important features. Okay, I take this question now, Senthil sir. What is the main feature of Tableau compared to others? Right now, one of the biggest feature, at least with, so I've worked on most of the BI tools. So one of the biggest feature is self-service, right? You can always say that all other tools also have self-service. Yes, they do, but in production, trust me, Tableau takes the lead there because the varieties of charts, the varieties of geospatial analytics, the varieties of log analytics, out of the box capabilities which Tableau has, no other tool has to that extent. It does. I mean, other tools do have, but not to an extent what Tableau has. For instance, let's say you want to do something very similar what you did on Tableau and Power BI. You probably need to write a lot of custom code to get that particular script there, So that kind of helps you remove this drag and drop tool versus coding. Does the industry see non-coders and using drag and drop tools see as technically inferior? Very good question. Now, this is always a debate in industry right now. If you see, most of the tools, even including data engineering, are moving towards workflow and drag and drop driven. For example, if you want to do an ETL of the data, extract, transform, and load, you don't have to today write an 300, 400 line in SQL procedure. You can simply use a workflow methodology, which is built on Spark, and then you can simply instantiate a workflow and then it gets there. Now, you might say, but is this good? But of course, it's good at the initial level, but as you want to go deep, then coding definitely is important, right? Because that's something you really cannot escape out of. So it's always a line difference right now. If I want to make my career only in BI, I don't want to concentrate on engineering, nor I want to concentrate on statistic analysis, then it's fine. So it's up to an individual on how they want to. For example, within Tableau itself, people go deep where they build their own custom dashboards. There you have to write their code. For example, I want to build a Gantt chart for my project. I mean, of course, there are tools which will do it, but Tableau gives you a beautiful Gantt chart which gives you an extensive information about the projects. But that's not available out of the box. You have to build it by yourself. You have to write a specific script to build it. So these are the advanced features of Tableau, right? People use Tableau Prep. Tableau Prep is another tool of Tableau which prepares your data. Right? There again, it's a workflow-driven tool, but there you have to write a lot of logics, which is of coding, right? Now, it is again to an individual, but then on a high level, it totally depends on how a person wants to make the career. But there is no day where you can say that, okay, all the coding will be replaced by drag and drop. No, that is never going to happen, at least in near future. Hope that question is answered. Did I miss any question? I don't think so. Okay, great. Any other questions? I think I have 3 questions answered. There's nothing apart from that. Main pictures. Okay, cool. Getting back to the slides. Now, as I told a little earlier, Tableau products, you have Tableau Desktop and Tableau Prep. Now, Tableau Desktop is something which we will install it on our system. Tableau Server is something used in production where you will install a Tableau and you'll give the Tableau through a web. I mean, you will give a link to a user and he will access that through a web console. There's no desktop there. And Tableau Online is very similar to Tableau Desktop, but then there are some features which are not available online, they are available in server. So you can call it a more enterprise-driven licensing model for Tableau Server. So Tableau is a little on an expensive side compared to license for other BI tools, but it's worth with that cost, right? So it's typically a little expensive as compared to other BI tools in the market. Now, what we generally do is, all of us, when we try something on Tableau, it's definitely going to be through something open source. So in that case, we use Tableau Public limitation, the public edition, right? Now, it has some limitations, of course. You cannot get all features in Tableau Public. You can do limited live data connections and limited data sources. Cannot save work locally, which poses a data privacy issue. And up to 15 million rows per work. Now, this is something which is limitation for Tableau Public. Now, does that mean I cannot do anything? No, this is like more than enough for us to practice. And even in fact, to a very great extent level, you can practice Tableau and Tableau Public. Enterprise is only needed when you really go deep and you want to connect to data warehouse systems. You want to create a data refresh materialized view. So data refresh is, let's say you have a real-time dashboard. So, you have to refresh that dashboard every 5 minutes or every 6 minutes because there's a real-time data coming in. So in that cases, you will have to use data refresh materialized views. So all that is not present in public. You'll have to use an enterprise version. Yeah. So Give me 1 second. And the other limitation, as it says, it cannot save the work locally. All your work gets published on Tableau Public server. That means anybody can use it. So that's why it says data privacy issue. So uh, I would suggest not to use any personal data on Tableau Public, because it gets signed into your public account automatically, because you need to create a sign in when you download, and all your work is saved automatically there. So just a caution. So considering the data privacy, I would insist not to use any private or production data on Tableau Public. Use it more for research and practice and hands-on sessions. And of course, that this is something which I think is more than enough for the number we have. So typically with the practice data set, we probably will not have too many things to do, because you will not have, to be honest, you will not have so much of data in the public version to play around. So you'll probably have some thousands of rows in an Excel sheet. So that wouldn't really cross with what we are thinking of. Let me just go and see if there are any questions. Okay, there's no questions. So what do you generally do in Tableau? What are the areas you do, right? So, and I don't know if it's visible. I'm sure it will be very small, but anyway, I'm going to share the presentation. You can always look at it. So some of the basic features we do is we first create a basic view with worksheet. Now, what is basic view is, I'll show you how it looks. Like you drill into data, you increase the level details of the data. How do you increase? Then you create filters on the data. You use the markers on the data. You use interactive dashboarding. You do some live dashboarding, and then you present the dashboard to the necessary business. Now, it depends on how you want to do, but this is a typical workflow we follow. And this applies for anything. It can be a research project, or it can be a real full-fledged production project, right? You drill into the data first, then you increase the details of the data with multi layers. Then you filter the data. For example, you want to filter it out for a specific views. Then you use markers. You add a specific markers on the data to see the depth of the analysis. And then you build interactive dashboard, and you present the dashboard either through a presentation or through a PDF document to the required business people. So that's the workflow. Any Tableau user or anyone uses it across the globe. Make sense? Okay, so that was kind of a high-level presentation. Maybe we'll deep dive into the tool for next 30 minutes and understand some of the features and how it works. But if there is any questions on these slides, I will be happy to take them. I'm going to just stop the presentation. But if there's any questions, I would love to take them. If not, then we'll get straight into the Tableau Public. Okay, the questions. Let me.
You have answered for all the questions, sir. You can proceed with the presentation.
Yes, madam. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you confirm if it's visible?
Yes, sir. And we have two questions from Sandeep R and Mr. Tirumurthy.
Yeah, I've answered them. Apart from that, there was any question? I don't think so.
So they are posted just now, sir. Can Tableau be
Oh, yeah.
with any?
Can Tableau be linked with any retail to ML predictive? Oh, very good. Okay, is it available? Is it available as an open? Yeah, yes, sir. You can just go to Tableau Public and click on download. You have to just register your email ID, and I can send you that link here. Anybody can just go and download Tableau. You don't really need to. So if you go to this link, go to that link, the moment you click that link, you will be asked to enter your email ID. Now, once you enter your email ID, you will be allowed to download Tableau Public automatically. Can Tableau be linked with ETL tool with any other ML predictive analytics tool? Excellent question, sir. So there is no need, to be honest, there is no need for you to link Tableau to any ETL tool, but generally we do something called as data refresh periods. Now, what is data refresh periods is your organization will have an ETL tool. Let's say, for example, I have a Matillion. So Matillion is one of the ETL tool. So I use Matillion as the ETL tool. So I'm doing all my ETL on that tool. That tool has out of the box connector to Tableau. So that is connected live to Tableau. Whenever ETL happens, the data flows in automatically to Tableau. The moment it gets to Tableau, there is an option called a data refresh. You refresh the data, the old data and the new data gets appended and you get the new data set there. So that's how the pipeline works. So any ETL tool will have a connector to Tableau. Your data lake can be connected. Now I'll tell you a very standard architecture most of the industry follow now is they don't connect the ETL tool directly, but they have a central data lake repository where the ETL'd, when I say ETL'd is the transformed data come and sits into that repository. That repository is connected to Tableau. Now, the reason why they do it, and because nowadays they use a lot of Spark, which is multi-threaded on Scala. So when you connect Tableau to that, there might be an issue on the performance. So they always try not to do a live connection, but they do a repository connection. Right? This is a very standard practice followed in most of the industries. But you can still connect it. It's not that you cannot. Now, coming back to ML predictive, Tableau has its own capabilities of predicting. But again, as I said, it won't be able to do all the high-end machine learning algorithms. But then to some extent it can do, but not all. Now, say for example, what we did is, I'll give you a classic example, right? So what we typically do is, there was a requirement. I can maybe give you that requirement that might help you answer the question. So as I said a little earlier, that we had to build a customer 360 dashboard for one of the largest insurance sector in the world. They wanted to do a recommendation engine on the customer 360 dashboard. That means based on the person buying the policies, what policy is he buying, how long is that customer with us, how many riders has he bought, how many claims has he made, and so on and so forth. You make a decision on giving him or you recommend him the next product based on his way of using the products or his patterns of buying the policies. Now that recommendation engine was to be used as a part of Tableau dashboard and should have been shown as a spider chart, right? Now let me pull that out. Let me pull that out for you. Maybe, it's very easy when you see that way. So give me one quick second. Let me see if I can pull that out for you.
Sir, can you share the screen, sir? It is not being shared now.
No, I'm opening the dashboard. Give me 1 second, please.
Oh, okay, sir.
Yeah, I think I have it. Let me see if I can share this. I'm just taking out the customer name. Give me 1 second. Okay, so let me show you how we have built this dashboard. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
So this was built on Tableau. So this is known as the customer 360 dashboard, right? So this is a live dashboard, yeah. So you choose the customer ID and then you display who is he. Okay, his way of contact, his everything, his family, his couple, children, father, mother, relations, his friends. Okay, and then you choose how many policies that customer has, display all the information about the policies, and tell what are the policy number, what is the product, what is the rider, what is the status, maturity date, so on and so forth. And this is what I was talking with Sir asked. So this part is machine learning. This is what we recommend to this customer based on his patterns of buying. This is an activity on how the customer is with the organization, how many claims has he made, what is his monthly trends on the claims, what is his tax saving plan based on this country. Every country has its own tax saving plan. So this country had a different tax saving plan. What is his satisfaction score, how often he comes to us, and how he connects with us. Does he connect with line, mobile, email, office, or SM? Line is a mobile app, and through mobile phone, or just through email, through office, or through SMS. Now this is what we call as a customer 360 dashboard. Right now, this what you see and what I'm hovering over, this particular area is a machine learning area. Right. So behind the scene, it is serving recommendation engine and is displayed on top of Tableau using some API connectors. Now, how is it done? We'll not deep dive into that because that's not what is required for this class. But um, this is a hope this gives you a very nice idea of how can you use Tableau to do this. Now, if you had to do this without Tableau, now this data is coming in from if I'm not wrong, it's around 71 source systems. There are 71 systems behind the scene which is feeding the data to a central location. From there, we ETL the data using Informatica, and that ETL the data is fed to your data warehouse, modern data warehouse. Modern data warehouse, we create views. Those views are fed to the Tableau. You don't connect to Informatica directly. So that answers your question as well. So let me stop sharing the screen and then see if there are any questions. Okay. Right. So another way of using remote pisser is you have algorithm. I can just put that name for you. Just typing that 1 second. This is another Tableau's inbuilt enriching data. I mean, inbuilt machine learning capabilities. Um, you can extend your worksheet using Java. This can be executed on Java, Node.js, Python, R, Ruby, Rust, Scala. Can be integrated directly with Tableau. You don't have to really do any more configuration, right? So again, this is not available on public, so this is very specific for an enterprise graded Tableau version, right? So that's also possible. Now this is where extensive coding is required. Now there was a question from Simut sir. So drag and drop works to a certain extent, but when you use algorithm, you'll have to write a lot of custom code either in R or Ruby or Python. That's definitely is something is required in the world of even in drag and drop features. Great. So let's get to the tool in the interest of time. And of course, I'll keep taking questions as in when they come. Yeah, I'm not shared, sir. I'm sharing it now. 1 second, sir. I'm just sharing my screen. So this is where, this is where you land when you log into Tableau. So don't worry about, okay, let's go like this, new sheet. So this is where you land. You can add your data to Tableau. You can just go here and add a data set. Okay, you'll get an add option here. If I open the new Tableau, I can quickly show you how it looks. So once you open, you will have an option to add data. Okay, there you go. It's coming up. Yeah. So this is your landing screen. In fact, in the enterprise version, you will have a lot of options here. In the more, you will have a lot of options here. You will have Redshift, you will have Snowflake, you will have Hadoop, you will have Cloudera, you will have Amazon EMR, Amazon Redshift, you will have data warehouse systems, IBM InfoSphere. You'll have tons and thousands of here in the enterprise. But this, since it's a public, you won't see that. These are files supported by default in the public. Excel text is a CSV. JSON is a JavaScript object notification, which stores the data in a key value pair. You have Microsoft Access DB. You have a PDF file. Now, you cannot just upload a PDF file by default. There is a requirement that a PDF file should be in a specific format for Tableau to accept it. Sorry. For Tableau to accept it. So you have to get that file in that format. Then you have a spatial file. Again, spatial file cannot be uploaded out of the box. There is a requirement in a specific way the data has to be prepared. And then a SAS or a statistical file. Only certain statistical files are supported, like from an output of a SAS, statistical output from a SAS file is supported. And there are other ways of getting the statistical data as well. Now, these are like high level, but in enterprise, you see more. And in fact, here also in enterprise, you see a lot of things. That's the only change for enterprise and public. So once you have the data, let's say you have an Excel file. I want to click that and click open. The data is loaded to your Tableau sheet. This is how the data looks, which is what we are seeing here. And then I want to start analyzing the orders. I just drag the order like this, and then I drop it here. Let's say I want to join orders and returns. I simply click here. It by default gives me a suggestion of what is a join, right? So you can add, see, it figured out what field it has to join. You can add more conditions on what you want to join. And if you see, this is my join. Returned yes. So let's say I want to quickly analyze this data. I go to sheet 1. It becomes orange here. Now this is what your sheet 1 is. Now on the top you see is data and analytics. Don't worry about analytics for now. We will go there. This is more statistical analytics. Now on the data, you will have two things on your Tableau. These are your dimensions. These are your measures. Now measures are typically continuous in nature. Dimensions are also continuous, but sometimes could be a discrete as well. Now that's how Tableau smartly segregates your dimensions and measures. But let's say this is not a dimension. The example, okay, order ID is not my dimension. So I want it to be measured. I'll simply go drag it and put it into measure. It becomes a measure, right? And if I don't want, I'll go back and put it back. It will become a dimension. That easy it is. Now you see what is there on this left side, right? You see this ABC, then a globe icon, then some calendar icon. These are your data types, the metadata of the data. What is metadata? It's the data about the data. So it tells me that category is a string, city is a spatial data, country is a spatial data. So for example, in the country is the city, right? So I'll drag and drop it inside the city. So it becomes country city and it names to be a country region. Get what I did, right? So this is, you can only do for spatial data, by the way. You cannot drag this into this, right? Even if you do that, it will give you a category, but it really does not mean any analysis per se, right? Sorry. Okay, just give me 1 second, please. I'll get some water. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so what I was saying is these are your metadata captures. City is a spatial, country is a spatial, customer ID is again a string, customer name is a string, order date is a date, that's why it's a calendar, and so on and so forth. And all the measures will be hash. Hash is nothing but a number. So that's how it goes in, right? So if you want to quickly see returned and then order ID, right? And return counts. Yeah. So if you see, it gives you order ID and it returned yes 4 times. These are your analysis. Why did the order was returned so many times? What are the top orders? So this is the order which was written 6 times. These specific. What are the top 10 reasons for that? We'll deep dive into this as we go on. But let me just close this and we get back to the original sheet. So this is how the data comes in. Now you can get the data from anywhere and you can join the data here in this pane. This is the designer pane. You will have all your tables on the left. You can join them, just drag them, put it here. You can do an inner join, a left and a right, or a Cartesian join. All the joins are supported. And then the joined data is what will be populated here. And the sheet where you go will start doing analysis on top of that. Right? So we have the data now. So the data has the customer ID. This is one of the store data which I downloaded. It's available. I'll send you the link where it's available. But this is a live data. So the data is up till 19, I think, if I'm not wrong. It has an order ID, a row ID which is unique. Order ID, order date and ship date. How did the shipping was made? A standard class or a second class. Customer ID, which is again a unique primary key. Customer name, who bought the product. The segment of the customer the product was bought, consumer corporate. Country and the region where the customer belongs to. City, state, postal code, region. Product ID which customer bought, and what is the category and subcategory of the product. Did he buy an office supply storage, technology accessories, office supplies, labels, furniture, bookcases, technology phones, technology machines, so on and so forth. And the address it was delivered, what is the sale quantity, what is the sale amount, what is the quantity, and did any discount applied, and so on and so forth. Number of orders, and okay, by the way, number of orders is not there. I have added that as a field, but you see that, let's do it once again. Let it just open. Yeah, so let's load that file. And then the moment you go here, it will see it populates go to worksheet, which is on. And that means your data is loaded and is ready for analytics. So we go here. So this is actual data. You don't have those new fields here and the which you saw here. Here you don't have it here. So we'll calculate that as we go along. Okay. So first thing what we will see is where is the sale happening, right? So let's go to the sheet. Let's say let's take the sales. Okay, so it gives me this, and let's see what category sale happens. So fantastic. Let's sort it. Now this is not nice. I have to have the sorted order. So either you can sort it from here on the top, or you will have an icon here which is right on your y-axis. If you click that, it gets sorted. Now it's nice. I don't have to hover over to see what are these numbers. Instead, I can add the numbers on these charts. So for that, I simply have to pick this icon called show mark labels. That adds the numbers. But this is very difficult to read, 836,000, 742,000. So I don't need to have these things here. So I want it to be more nice. Okay. So what I will do, hold control on my keyboard, drag category and put it on label. Sorry. Drag sales and put it on label. And then I'll go and I format my numbers to be a custom, and I'll keep it as dollar and display as case. That's it. See this? 836K, 742K, 719K. Much better, right? Now this is a standard view. I will go and make it entire view. This looks much better. Right? A very quick a dashboard, right? So you really didn't have to spend what hardly a minute. If I have to do this in Excel, I have to write a formula first, then right click on the number, may go to format, create a new additional sheet, which has to be converted to dollar, and then add that into a pivot table. So it might take some time. It's not possible in Excel. It definitely is possible. It will take some time, but this was much quicker, right? Um, but then this really does not give you a lot of business sense, right? So okay, technology, fantastic, but where is the maximum sale happening, right? So what will, for that I'll drag off this out and we will go back to see the subcategory. Now if you see, the maximum sale happening is in the phones area, followed by chairs, storage, and tables, and so on and so forth, right? Now, you see this, right? So this gives you a very great insight. Now, I don't have to see the numbers because I'm into subcategory. So the least is your, fasteners and labels and envelopes. Of course, the top one is the phone. So phone itself gives you a 330,000 sales across your organization, right? Now, I don't like to see like this because the x-axis is like a tilted vertical. So I will swap this. I'll make it more easily visible. So I'll simply swap it like this. This becomes fantastic now. This looks much better. You have phones, you have chairs, easy to read now. Now, if I have to see which region is making profit, I don't have to put the profit again inside. I simply have to color these based on the profit, right? That's my business understanding. So I'll simply take profit and put it on colors. Now you see that, right? So I don't like this color. Typically a standard practice is using red and green, which all of us know. So we say red, green diverging and click OK. So what does it mean? Darker the color, higher is the profit, lighter the color, that is a loss. So even if you see the sales for tables is more, but it is still making a loss. So that's a very interesting insight, right? See the art. Art is very less sale, but the profit is more, right? See, you have already started dissecting the data, right? The largest profit making category in my organization is phones, followed by chairs and storage. And the least making is my fastener label art, but I have some losses in tables and bookcases and so on and so forth, right? So that's something which is something I need to look at. Now that's how you start digging deep into the data. Let me see if there was any questions. Oh, thank you, sir. No questions. Okay. Can we generate new attribute in some function based on? Yes, sir. I will show you. This is okay. Trimurti sir, while analyzing, there was a question from Trimurti sir. While analyzing the data, can we generate new attribute using some function based on available data? Yes, sir. I will show you. That's known as a calculated field, and I will do that in some time. Okay. Anything else? No. Okay. So we got a kind of hang of the data now, right? See, initially, if I do Control Z again, if I put this presentation to my management, they say, okay, fantastic. So I see phone, chair, storage tables are performing really good. Let's go and invest more in these categories. I say, hold on. Does it really make profit by investing them? So we'll just go ahead and do that and see. It doesn't really make profit. So we'll have to figure out why, even though the sale is so high, why is it not making profit? That's something really worrying for us, right? That's something we'll have to figure out. See, it's already making a loss of minus $17,000. So that's something is a worry for us right now, even though it was a very good on the top listed, but it still makes some loss. So that's something we really have to look at. Interesting insights we started already getting about the data, right? Now let's look the sale over time, right? So let's rename this. I'll say, what is this? Just like Excel, you can rename it. You can rename, it comes here. Then we'll see, oops, we'll rename this sales over. So for time, I sales over time, as in I need to see when was the order placed and what was the sale. Okay. Now either it displays like this, or I'll show you another interesting way. Okay. Use the order date, hold the control key on the keyboard and press sales. So that means both are selected. Go to show me. It will tell you a recommended chart. There are so many charts here. This is a very interesting thing I wanted to show you. Tableau gives you recommendation based on the fields you choose. Right? Now I have chosen order date and sales. So Tableau predicted that I want to see a line graph or a series graph. That's why it's recommending me this chart. It could have recommended me this or this or this, but it's recommending me this. How do I know what it is recommended? Is this, dark border which you see here? That's a recommendation. For instance, let's say, what did I do previously? I choose subcategory and I sales. Now, if I go to show me now, see, it's recommending me this chart, which we exactly did here, right? So if I double click on it, this is what I get. Interesting, right? I mean, this is what the power of Tableau is, right? You get recommendations live. So I'm going to choose order date now. And then see, it's already recommending. See, only date, it gives me a table. Now I choose sale, the recommended changes to a line. Double click that, I get this. But doesn't really make any sense, right? What does it do? I mean, what do you really understand from this line graph? You really don't, right? So I need to go to month. So I don't need to drag anything. I simply have to click on this X. This gives me a quarterly. It gives me monthly. But that's not really good. I mean, because you have seen this broken. What if these all were connected together? You would have got a fantastic line graph, isn't that? Right? So to make that, I will simply take off year, take off quarter, and see there. Voila, you got the interesting graph, right? So you see your sales going on. But remember, one thing this guy has done, this Tableau has done, it's taken January 2018 to 2019, February 2018 to 19, but it really cannot give you a good insight of the data. So what I will do, I'll go and I'll click month on month. Voila, you get this data now. Right? So what did we do? I will do it again and slowly this time so that you follow what I'm doing. The requirement from the business is to look the sales over the time. So I want to see every month how is my sales going on, not every year or not every quarter. I want to see every month how the sale is going on. Okay. So order date will give me when the order was placed. That's where your sales cycle starts, and number of sales, that gives me the pattern. So I choose order date, control hold and click on sales. Go to show me, recommended chart is line, double click on that and just click on show me, it will go on. But it does not give me anything, right? What was the ask? The ask from the business is, what is sale over time? Sale over time monthly. Or I can rename this that way. Monthly sale over, that makes more sense, right? So I want to see monthly sale over time. I want to see monthly sale over time. Okay. But then this is an yearly. I will go back to year. This is quarterly. I want monthly. I have monthly, so I will remove my year and I remove my quarter. I don't need them, but I still have monthly. But the only problem what Tableau does, it kind of adds up and give you a month of the entire year, right? But I don't want that, so I will choose go here and click on month every month. So voila, you have 20,016. If you hover over January 16, February 16, March 16. If you see these peaks, so March 16 high peak, September 16 high peak, November, December, November, December, September is a peak. Now this is the pattern you are seeing. Every year in the month of September, November and December, you are seeing a peak. What could it be? Is there any festivals? Is there any vacation time? Or are people buying more in this time? What could be the possible reasons, right? an interesting way of seeing that. You can as well animate this and see, right? For example, let's see how the dot moves around. So I want the order date. I want it month. Oops, sorry. I want it monthly. No, take this off, control, hold, and put it in pages. And then I put my sales here. Okay. And then I will now click exactly what I did. See that? So it's animated, right? So it will tell you on the top, if you see it's already displaying here. See here. October, November, how is the sale going on, right? So if I make all, then don't fade, and play over, see how it's increasing over time. I mean, just a way of animating something and showing it to somebody, right? Just an interesting way. I mean, I like it when there's a lot of real time series the data, especially for stock data. You would love to see how the trend goes on the stock, and then you figure out how the trend is going, right? So we got to know how. So we got two patterns, right? One, we expected tables to be high profit, but we figured out that it's though the sales are very high, but it is still running under loss. And then we also figured out another business insight that we are seeing a peaks typically in the month of March, September, October, and November for every year. And interesting peaks I've seen. I've always seen a dip in month of February. See here, January and February for every month. February, January, February. So on an average in the month of January, February, I'm always seeing a dip in my sales. What could be the reason? Right? The interesting insights you can start already making out of the business. Now, one thing I really wanted to touch base here with all the professors and all the madams is, remember, Tableau is, I mean, not because we have things we will drag and drop and make charts. You don't really have to sometimes make a fancy chart to show something. You can still do really interesting things provided you have a very good domain knowledge, right? I mean, for example, for me, this chart is more than enough to go to business and say, hey, listen, your sales are pretty good from 2016 to 2020. I have things which I have to highlight. In every year, September, November, and December, you see a spike, and every year, February and March, February of every year, you're seeing a dip. Otherwise, your sale is very good. So what are the top 5 reasons? Go back to marketing team and tell them this insight. They will start telling you what are the insights behind it. Oh yeah, we saw a dip because we released a new product. People didn't like that product. They didn't buy. So these are your pointers for business to run smooth. Let me just quickly go and see if there are any questions. Okay, no questions. Okay, cool. All right, so that's going to give you right. So now let's try something geospatial. Let's see sale by states. Right. So we go to city. Okay, and drag it up here. No, let's do it the way show me gives you. Let's say city, control, sales, go to show me. It gave you a geospatial, double click. It's computing the layer. It takes a little time because it's a geospatial map. Right, it gives me 530 unknown, right? And nothing comes up, to be honest here, right? So I'm going to click on that, edit location. And it is United States now. And now looks much better, right? Now, but still, what are these circles? I mean, I don't like what is this circle. The map doesn't really look, I cannot do any analysis. First of all, I need to make it more better. So I'll go here and I'll choose a map here, which is automatic. Looks much better, right? Now, interesting that, I see these dots. What are these dots? I don't know, to be honest, right? But we'll figure out that. We'll see how. But If I take this out and I'll take the profit and put it on color, now you see these, as the color diverges, you have more profit. Let's make that red, green, diverging, apply and okay. Right, so if you zoom up, okay, let's do it. We'll see it by state. Okay, so I still have 49 unknown because it's unable to understand the cities. So it's trying to look for these cities in India because I'm by default in India, but that's not the case. I won't find Colorado in India. So I'll have to go on drop down and from field, it will automatically select USA. I click on OK. Yeah, much better. So let's zoom it down and then go back and give it a map. Looks much better. For some reason, it doesn't seem to work fine. Give me a second. I'm gonna make it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. This looks much better. Map. Okay. Now it looks much better. Each state is showing me something. If you hover over, you see the states, how the sale is going on each state. But I want to see the profits in the each state. So I'm going to drag and drop profit in the colors. And I'm going to just simply edit the colors to red, green, diverging. And I click OK. Much better, right? So anything which is pinkish in color gives me, that there's a loss. Illinois is running a loss. Ohio is running a loss. Peninsula is running a loss. Biggest loss is Texas. It is larger area. A lot of losses here. Biggest sale is happening in California, followed by Washington, and then a small here in New York. So very interesting, very interesting mapping stuff, right? So this is like a more geospatial, right? So any questions so far? No. Okay. Now there was a question on while NL data, can we generate new attributes using some functions based available data? So that's what we'll do, sir. Now, so I want to see number of orders and an average, or let's say number of orders first, right? So number of orders can come from order ID, and I need to make sure it is a distinct count. So whenever you create a calculated field, you always go on this drop, top, drop down and click on calculated field. I'll say number of orders. And what is that? It's count distinct of order ID. Okay. And see this, it gives you that it's a calculation field is valid. Number of count of order ID. And the best part is you will get the syntax of here. Data type is string. And then I click on OK. And you see his number of orders already created. Can I do another interesting, right? So you know that orders are being shipped. So you have order date and the ship date. Can I subtract both of this and make interesting, right? So I think we can do that right away. So I can see when was order ID, when was the order placed, when was it shipped, and if I subtract both of this, I'll get a shipping time. Excellent. So let's do that. So let's say shipping time. Then I say date diff, that's the function. It will give you, see, returns the difference between two dates where start date is subtracted from end date. The difference is expressed in units of date underscore part. If start of week is omitted, The week start day is determined by the start day configured from the data source. Example, date diff they have given some. So I don't want months, I want day. How many days it took to ship? So I'll say day, and I'll say my order date, and then my ship date. It says calculation is valid. I click OK. I have my shipping time here. So what I'll do now, I'll choose state and shipping time. Double click on the geospatial map. Fix this unknown error because of India state. Voila, you see that, right? So now if I go and choose a map here and I edit my colors, oops, time, I edit my colors. I'm gonna red green diverging. Okay. But this, why is it giving me such a big number? Do you think it takes 8 days to ship? Oh no, that's just really something wrong here, right? So it's here, it's showing me a sum of shipping time. Oh, that's the problem, right? So I don't want this. I want average shipping time. I will go here, choose average, right? Now, if I hold this in control and put it on colors, and now, oh, much better, right? This looks much better. 2.8 days on average to 5.7 days. This looks something reasonable, right? So I'll go change the color. It is right. But this is something I have to put some threshold. Anything above 3 days is a bad order for me. I have to put a threshold. So I can do either two ways. I can go write a calculated field. I say threshold, or I can call it as a KPI. And I say if shipping time is greater than 3, then it's bad, else good. I can do this. I can do this, not a problem. But this avoid if else in generally, I mean, I avoid it because I have other options. What I'll do is I'll simply go here, click on edit colors, and I'll go to advanced. I'll put a center threshold. I'll put it as 3. And then I click apply and okay, voila. You see that, right? But see the problem here. It the green is showing, green is supposed to be red. Why is it showing green? I mean, sorry, 5 is supposed to be shown as red, but it's showing green. Interesting, right? So I'll just go ahead and edit colors and reverse this. There you go. What looks much better. So only state which is delivering right is North Dakota. Rest all are above 3 days. So we'll have to go and look at our logistics and tell the business, boss, there's really something problem with the logistics. Because if you see on an average, we are shipping orders delayed for every customer. What is going to happen is it will reduce your customer satisfaction. It's going to have a hard hit, and that's going to be a lot of problems for us. So we'll have to look at this, deep dive into all this. So of course, there's lot in Tableau you can do, but of course, with the time constraint, you really cannot deep dive into Tableau. And Tableau is something we cannot understand the whole tool per se in like 90 minutes, right? So I could show some interesting things, but I also wanted to show you here is the new columns what you add by default gets added to your data source. Now this is your data source on Tableau. Your source data is never disturbed. That means my Excel is still safe. If you go to my Excel, that will not going to hinder by any chance. That will still be safe. See, there's nothing added here. Only at the Tableau layer, the data is getting added, right? So for example, if I add that calculated field, which I told you right now, good or bad, and I can take a count of it, how many are good or how many are bad. So for example, KPI. Okay. If ship time is greater than 3, then good, else bad. Okay, and and you have KPI is string, right? By default, it took as a dimension. Go to data source. See there, you have bad, bad, good, 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 good. So let's go to sheet and let's put that KPI here. And let's take the sales and we'll put that here. See there, we have 766,000 bad orders and 153,000 good orders. And interesting, right? I mean, just with simple things, we started getting so many insights, right? So that was kind of a brief overview of what BI was, and I leave the last 2 minutes for Q&A. Can we connect Tableau with data science language? Yes, sir. Yes, Ranichan. Okay, sorry, man. So you can as I said a little earlier, right? You have, I also pinged the name, right? Uh, the specific algorithmia is what we call. So you can use that and connect your specific R and Python and Ruby. And let me send you that document. A second, please. I have it handy with me. That's the document that will tell you how you can connect your R, Python, Ruby, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that kind of brings me to the end of my session. I hope I was able to convey some things and uh, something which by experience.
Yes, sir. Hello. Is my
Yeah.
voice audible, sir?
Yes, madam.
Yes.
Any source of the data set use cases to learn Tableau provides community support, any web resource available? Yes, sir. You can just go to Tableau website. They have their own tutorials. I will just send you that link 1 second. You can, there is Tableau itself provides a free course on their website. That's their website which they provide. And you can just go there and they have a bunch of tutorials you can start off with. They have a very good community support, sir. You can just go to community Tableau and register yourself. If there are any questions, we raise there and they will just go ahead and answer them.
Sir, can you switch on your camera, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, sir. So I think you've answered the questions then and there. And so very thank you, sir, on behalf of Chennai Institute of Technology. So we
My
extend
pleasure.
our heartfelt gratitude to you. Yes, sir, in
My
spending
pleasure.
your time for us. And yes, sir, your demo on Tableau surely will help us. And I will just have all the link in a Word document and share them to the participants, sir. You just
Yes,
mail
sir.
me the slide that
Yes, sir.
PPT what you shared. Just
Yeah.
mail me. Along with that, I just from the chat history, I will take all the links that you have shared with the participants and I will put in a Word document and share with them with your
All
permission.
right. Great. Yes,
Yes,
no problem.
yes, sir.
Thanks, madam.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day and all of you stay safe. Take care. Bye bye.
Yes, sir. We hope to connect with you even in future, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, sir. So, and thank you, participants. We'll meet for the afternoon session by 2 p.m. And the same link can be used. And we are going to have the session on text analytics, which is going to be handled by Dr. Shiva from NIT Trichy. So, do join the session by 2 p.m. Thank you.